turkey available. I am making a turducken. I really just sell free set turduckens. I think that's just the thing. People eat stuff and watch it like not even like a turducken, just like just thinking on making it. I mean them trading it because like I exactly. The common man does not know. I think it's like chicken. And then I'm just saying that because that sounds like the right word to describe. It sounds like the right word. So there's
Maybe you season it first and then you stuff it.
so if you got the free stuff, you like add it. Free season. This is where our website should be. Selling turduckens. Guys, this is all a front. This is all a front. We're really just a cheese company.
How many groups do we have? Candace, how many groups do we have?
Like here today?
No, well, how many groups? What is the out in the area? What do we got? How many groups?
Right?
6?
Well, there's
Six.
Do you hear what cause of concern here? Do you hear what cause of concern here? Because you know, like that.
No, it's not.
Because they're like chaotic.
Twerking.
So they bought a section of
Yeah.
where they wanted to build a wall.
Sometimes
So they bought a section of it and they released it to the hundreds of thousands of people. The government has allowed to
Then make sure that it says live.
spend millions of dollars.
When it says live, then you can check it out. You can check this one to see it.
Where'd you be?
Let me just get it. Wait a minute.
Oh, it is seven? Yep, then it's seven. You don't wait for them. Big improvement from my freshman year. Was it like fifth or something?
It's not on?
This was
Okay.
straight, and I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay. Because I'm not used to it.
Okay, folks, how are we doing? What's up? We have something to do today? Yes. Oh, yes, okay. Let me do my regular writing on the board. We'll talk about what we're gonna cover today. Today is Wednesday, unbelievable, November 15th, right? What we're going to cover today, I just want to give you a little overview of healthcare, what we call AI, which is what? Artificial intelligence, and there's something called deep learning. In medicine, there's deep learning in medicine that I want you to cover. Then we're going to be talking about our projects. We're going to be doing an agile development team, way where one of the methods in agile development is 5-minute updates. So on a frequent basis, what we're doing is we're doing 5-minute updates. So we can give feedback to each other. I have assigned myself to be in everyone's group. I'm a group member, so I want to do my part before we go on a break, that I've given my input to the group, so we won't be missing my feedback. Okay? Did everybody read that article I told you about the digital pill? Amazing, huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
Yeah.
It was incredible, that digital pill. What's interesting to me is they used it for a psychiatric drug for schizophrenia, where people are paranoid anyways, right? And I think I'm hearing something in my head, right? And not only in that, I'm actually having someone actually do paranoid, so it reinforces that paranoia. So when we're thinking about the medication and how to do adherence, I just thought it was a bit humorous that they started with that. And many times the reason that I can see why they started with that, because a lot of times that medication really helps for psychiatric problems and for schizophrenia, but the reason people don't adhere to it is that they don't like, number one, they don't like the feeling of the drugs, and number two, they feel like everyone is out to get them. So it's an interesting aspect of it, but something like this is going to change the world. So if you go to your web links, there are a couple of articles that I would like you to read for next time. But before I go to that, go to, at the very end of your web links on your regular page, you see there's something called AI, human or machine. Everybody see that? AI, human or machine? And if I click on that, let me see if it works. Let me open it in a new window. This is the AI of science fiction, just got one step closer. And does everybody know what CAPTCHA is? It stands for Complete Automated Public Turing Test. But what do you see it always as?
It's like if you're a robot.
It tells you if you're a robot. Have you ever gone into a site and you're marking it, and what happens to it? They ask you to follow those kind of strange characters. You're never quite sure, is that a capital A, is that a 6 or whatever, and you follow it. What's the purpose of that?
Because programs can get into.
It's basically, it's like, there's something called a bot. Everybody hear about a bot? A bot is programmed to do consistent kind of tasks over and over again. And based on this over and over again, you want to just check to see if it's recorded. Based on over and over again, what this is doing is it'll be able to test whether it's human or not. And the reason they call it CAPTCHA or the Turing, many years ago there was a professor in computer science called the Turing machine, and it was being able to say, is it a machine or is it a human? Can I tell the difference? And guess what? With the advent of AI, what do you think they've done?
Got to run captions.
Basically, they can fool CAPTCHA even though it is a machine. So that's going through that process of capturing the machine. So this idea of AI is happening. It's on the good and it's on the bad. You remember, technology is neutral on that things. It can do tremendous opportunities, but what else? It can have situations in which it is. So go through it further if you can hear it. Okay, go on. Let's see, we'll put it back. So make sure we start. So, you can see when I'm doing this, you can see on the capture, they are already up to numerous ways in which they can do beyond visual recognition, they can blur the cast. So this is for your idea in which you're thinking about it, that this capture now can, the machine can full capture. So they thought it was really a great idea. And the other thing that I would like you to read for next time, after we come back, which is what date do we come back?
27.
Huh?
The 27th.
27, unbelievable, unbelievable, is unbelievable. Is this, one article is AI versus MD. And we were alluding to this on many of our studies and applications, even with modernizing medicine, seeing what the machine would take over. And this is an interesting article written this year, and it's AI versus the MD. What happens when diagnosis is automated? And it goes through the scenarios of how AI, artificial intelligence, is going to disrupt what's happening in diagnosis. And I'd like you to read through this and come up with what are the pluses and minuses of this AI. Where does it really help this AI, and where does humans have to intervene? So this is an interesting precept for you to decide. So this is called AI versus MD for next time. I also want you to look at the next one. These three is healthcare and AI, which is artificial intelligence is now telling doctors how to treat you. And this was done in Wired magazine. Anybody hear about Wired magazine? Wired magazine basically looks at tech, what's happening in tech, not necessarily healthcare. And notice what screen they used. Does this look familiar? Modernizing medicine. So they basically say, hey, modernizing medicine. So this is and they do the dermatology. Why did they do dermatology? Because they interviewed modernizing medicine, and what is their forte is dermatology. So they're looking at what Google's doing, what Amazon is doing in the virtual assistants, what is AI. So this is a basic article for you to have an understanding with. And the next one, which is important, is this one called Deep Learning in Medicine. And look at this. I get excited over things that maybe you don't, but you will get excited too. This is Deep Learning Advanced Medicine. And what is the company name here? NVIDIA. Anybody hear of them?
Nope.
What is it?
They create graphic cards for gaming.
And what else? They create chips. They're a chip designer. They're very famous in anybody that has those gaming machines that has to be fast processing, they do that. So what the heck is a chip designer involved in advances in medicine? What's the connection? Everybody understand my question? What's my question? Carly, what's my question?
What does a chip design have to do with medicine?
Right.
Maybe maybe faster? Faster.
Why do I need faster processing?
Process information.
Basically, all the data. Do I have a little amount of data or huge amounts of data? Huge, right? It's tremendous. It's tremendous amounts of data that I have that I need to analyze to find the patterns. So what I need is, many times now, what I'm going to even need is supercomputers to do those genomic, personalized medicines. So there's something part of AI, what they call, in this case, just what the doctor ordered, improving patient care in AI, mining medical data for better, quicker treatments, and better, faster diagnosis. So being faster, being mining, I need to have fast computing power. So, and genomics, think about the vast amounts, and there's things on deep learning. So for reading through this, I'd like you to try to understand, what do we mean by deep learning? And part of deep learning is what we call neural networks. And in neural networks, where is that coming from? People have taken, people have heard about, what?
From artificial brain.
Yeah, but where else? It's basically from my brain, when I'm thinking about the neurons in my brain. So basically it's trying to simulate brain activities in these neural networks, and basically in these neural networks and training these neural networks, you need to do what they call training. Remember I talked about it? And sometimes you have what they call supervised training, and sometimes they're called unsupervised. So it's important to have in the training to give samples and in parts that the human knows the results, and what you want to train the computer to do is train it to forecast those results or to interpret those results. And when it gets it wrong, then the computer program improve each time. This is used for a number of different forecasts for modeling, for forecasting different diseases. For instance, cancer. One type is for breast cancer. So when we come back, I'm having two people. One is a PhD in neural networks, and another one is a graduate from the University of Miami that she studied biology, and then she said, well, maybe I should study a bit of computer science, and she's created a model to forecast detection of breast cancer. So she'll be coming on the Monday when we come back, so I want us to have an understanding of what we mean by neural networks and deep learning. That's your responsibility for Monday. So you'll see in here when you'll be with these articles, you'll see here on AI versus MD and deep learning, and try to find as much as you can understand. When you have questions, ask me when you come back. So what do we mean by deep learning in medicine? Okay? And you'll see. Even when they talk about trends in healthcare for 2017, it's exactly what we're talking about, right? But we can think about cybersecurity, analytics, and population. Questions on what needs to be done? Okay, so let's start off then. Let me go back to the audit area. Let me go to the course documents, and we'll start with, we have 6 groups, so let's say about 5 to 7 minutes, we'll have a discussion with each group. And what's nice is your fellow colleagues here can also give you some feedback as well. So we'll start with group 1. So how are we going to go about doing this?
We have
So-
our website.
Okay, and do you want me to lead in this, or you want to come and do it, or how do you want to go about doing this?
You could just click.
Okay, I'll click. So I'm in group 1 where I have Sabrina, Jillian, Aliza, and JP. JP? Yeah, okay.
All
Back
right.
here. Okay, what? Okay, all right, so, where am I going? And I'm part of the group too, so where am I going? To see this? Yeah, because I'm gonna be moving here. Okay? You wanna take over? Good.
Is it usually?
Okay,
All right, here we are.
okay,
Our app is called Food Coma.
okay.
Got it? So enthusiastic. Okay, so what we do, reliable nutrition as quick as a snapshot. Food Coma uses the latest technologies and AI software to combine your love of taking food pics with valuable nutritional information that will lead you to make healthier choices when dining out. Educate yourself on proper portion control, track your nutrition, and learn about restaurant options nearby that will help you reach your healthy life goals.
So basically, like, you take a picture of your plate and it'll tell you like what kind of macronutrients you got, like you have in there, what type of foods you have, like maybe like the calories.
So yeah,
all
the
stuff.
nutritional tracking component will tell you the macro and micronutrients.
Mhm.
So your fats, carbs, proteins, but also the vitamins and minerals that you need. And that will be dependent on taking our health profile quiz. So you'll fill in your information, your height, your weight, your gender,
Mhm.
and that will be based on a bunch of statistical data. You'll have whether or not you need more or less than the average individual. And then our handy dandy restaurant finder will link you to restaurants nearby that have the same type of food you like, or that will definitely have dishes that you
Your
know you'll enjoy.
recommendation for this. Okay.
And that's basically where we'll be generating our income,
Mhm.
because the app will be free, but we will have partnered with restaurants.
Okay.
Another feature we had talked about also was like the AI being able to detect like the actual size of your portions, and then if you, I'll say it all.
Okay.
Okay, so then our vision,
Okay.
this picture takes a minute.
They're pretty though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, you're impressed, isn't it? When you see all our guest speakers, we don't look at any less, we look even better. Okay, but
So,
anyway.
yes, we want to inspire.
The last one was 7 million, we could do better than that, go ahead.
So we want to inspire people to make healthy choices every day, because we know that what we eat affects our mind, our body, and our soul. So we want to empower our users to know what they're putting into their bodies and being able to have their bodies function properly. And we know that making healthy choices can be daunting, but Food Coma makes it easy.
Okay.
And here we have some people enjoying.
Oh, okay.
Some testimonials. Our very first user,
Okay, we
Monica Sanchez. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think this is an excellent quote. By far
Okay.
the easiest way to count my macros. I no longer have to rely on guessing or tediously logging what I eat on traditional food apps like MyFitnessPal.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we have
She's good in, who wrote that? You did?
it was the blogger that they
Oh,
sent.
the book, great. Okay.
So yeah, so here
Okay.
JP, you want to take over?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So kind of this is like a page explaining how to actually use the app. So
Okay.
here's like a very rough mock-up of what it looks like, but basically there's going to be like a guiding something on the screen where it tells
Okay.
you where to put the plate,
Okay.
and you send it out. You press the button that to take the picture, and then out comes like all the nutritional information that we talked about before. And something else that we had talked about was doing portion control, so the AI will be able to detect if you have like, let's say, some rice on your plate. It'll tell you
Right.
what the like.
Hey, don't pick out.
Yeah, and it will tell
Be
you
a
like, on the
little
screen.
oink, oink, don't pick out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that's something that's pretty cool because it'll dynamically tell people, okay, take some off,
Okay.
take some on, you need some.
All right,
Balance is key, people.
okay. Okay.
And then we have a section that's kind of like a health blog.
Okay.
So we have like a current events, the things that are happening near your
Okay.
location, some articles on tips,
Okay,
and different links you can click for recipes.
Okay.
Things like that.
all right.
And then lastly, we have the contact page, sorry. And then,
You didn't want to come up?
well, I mean,
It's okay,
yeah.
fine.
Obviously just reaching out to our consumers about questions or concerns. And then also, we we are working on our app development right now.
Okay.
Using the Just in Mind software,
Okay.
which we started today, so
Okay.
basically now that we have our website done, we're gonna start
Okay.
configuring that.
Now, this is, first of all, great, huh? Don't you think the web, couldn't be nicer in terms of the website. You can stay here. Let me get a pen. I'm part of the group. I need these funds. We have a marker, a marker.
Oh,
Oh, Mark is right
one
there.
behind.
Marker or pen?
Right, marker. Okay, so what I need is, now, what's the difficult, yes.
Is it like you take up the picture of it and then somebody on the other end is looking at it?
Well, that's what I'm
I don't get
considering.
it, like, who's-
You're asking a great question. What the devil is in the detail, anybody would say, it's a great idea, but is this just fantasy?
Like, how do you know?
How-
that it's
this
right
is
and how
fantasy,
does
so
it
the
go?
question
How
is
it
what is behind the technology and if this is gonna be important?
We would be using an artificial intelligence, like visual recognition software, probably from Watson.
Okay, did you look at, Lisa, did you find that company that I was telling you
On
about?
the Israeli one?
Yes,
Yeah, I looked into it a little bit more. They work with Apple a lot, but there wasn't too much information on it because Apple kind of keeps it on loss.
There's a lot of
Right.
visualization.
okay,
So
so,
basically, it would be using like a database of already known.
so what I would be looking at is this way, and this could possibly be on, another, you remember how I wanted you to do a paper or another, you could do almost for outside and maybe even for insiders. Some of the things that you don't want to share with the world, but you want to have personally, and you could maybe even make another site of it or some other PowerPoints or something like that you would want to have. But this is the key. This is where the patents come in. This is where the money comes in. This is where people would be interested in investing. Is the idea of integration, and all of you should think about it, is you're not usually, for this class, what we have here is we don't have, you can come in, great. And then maybe at the, this is another, you wanna just introduce yourself for a second?
Yeah, I'm Matt Lally.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. I don't wanna,
So I have a company called Pitch. We're doing a token sale, based on Ethereum.
okay,
I was
so,
invited to talk to you about
yeah, so they're gonna be doing this is a healthcare.
that. Oh, okay.
So one of the things is it's nice you can kind of like pitch into to give him feedback. He's a entrepreneur and he has an excellent idea. He's going to be presenting to my cybersecurity, but I told him to come early, so it would be great for you guys to hear about him as well. And I was at this, what was it called? It was Refresh Miami.
Miami.
They were giving prizes out. The grand prize was a free trip to Israel.
We didn't win.
Yeah, but I thought they were the best. They didn't win, but it was like a free trip to Israel to work with accelerator companies in Israel. What?
I have a group of friends who did that, and they their program really launched, and now they're working in New York.
Okay, so they were doing, so I thought Matt's was, and that was a healthcare company, that, a health startup that won. But I thought Matt's was the best. I voted for him online, but I asked him to come, but you can sit for a while, you don't have to just, but what I wanna think about is the integration of getting technology that's already there.
Yeah.
And you working with those groups with that technology rather than thinking of invention. So what I'd like you to do between now and the time you're gonna have to present is get more detail of those companies that are possibilities for you to integrate into your app.
We can also work with research institutions and stuff as well.
Yeah, but I would even start off of what's the state of the art now? What is available now that can come up and you say, well, maybe I need to take a picture, I gotta find out about the portions, then I have to find out of the macronutrients.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could
But
work
that's-
together with dietitians and stuff.
Yeah,
and research.
but dietitians, but also there needs to be a database there
Oh, yeah.
behind it, but to elaborate more of what you're looking for, and then you can even have a call out for other people who wants to work, and these are the modules that we need into our solution.
Okay, but how about Watson?
Well, you have to find out what's, Watson is so
Has a visual,
great.
it has a visual recognition. It's not
Visual, but to find out what is the closest in terms of just to say Watson, what's the closest possibility, and what they have already available to them, Watson, will it be enough? So those are where I would
Okay.
have you going to, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, you're welcome. What's the next group? Group 2?
Us.
Okay, let's go. And then we'll have you go as well, Matt, to present, to give a.
We reformatted our app because I wanted to be able to show it on my phone, and I have made it as an iPhone 8, but I have an 8 Plus. So then I couldn't get it back to what it was, so it's a little bit awkward right
Okay,
now, but
okay.
it's gonna be changed.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our website, this is our homepage.
And Matt, you can feel free to comment on this, or you can feel free to do other things, and you don't have to bother. You know what I mean? So it's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 So our name of our app is My PT. So we go to the About Us tab. We basically give a basic description of what our app does.
Okay.
It's able to track progress of physical therapy after a procedure, injury, or just maintaining a healthy lifestyle. The app contains pre-recorded videos that your physical therapist or doctor can choose from to help you coordinate your physical therapy exercise schedules.
Mhm.
It has features such as reminders, alarms, it can sync to your calendar, and it helps you track your progress after.
Okay.
So our services, so this is how it helps each category of people, for providers, for anyone, for patients.
Mhm.
So that's just basically a blurb saying how it helps each of them.
Okay.
And then testimonials, we did people commenting on our app, we did
Okay.
2 patients and a provider. And then we did the creators tab,
Okay.
which isn't done yet.
Okay.
And then we have a contact tab.
Okay. And you used for your app, what did you use?
Proto.io.
And how was it?
Really good actually, but it just takes a while to understand. Sorry, we use this.
Okay. Wait, somebody's gonna get into it.
Well, yeah, because when the other day my password said that it was gonna be hacked in
Wow.
7 minutes.
Right, oh, you did?
That was me, so.
Okay.
Okay, so we start at home and you get started. You can scroll through and it's just one of those, when you download an
Right.
app, it tells you kind of an overview.
Mhm.
And you can log in or sign up. And then it'll be linked to whatever physical therapy practice you have, so you'll be able to see your doctors here.
Mhm.
And
So
then-
this is gonna be personalized?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have the doctor that you're using, the physical therapist.
Yeah, and there will
Okay.
be a provider side, and then this is the patient
Okay.
side. So then you can go to my exercises. So your workout would be linked to what Carly was saying about the videos. If you
Mhm.
click on start workout, it's gonna start each page is gonna have a video of a workout and what you should
And
be
the
doing.
timing of it, so that.
Beautiful, you've gone,
It got so messed up. It looks so much better.
no, but I'm just saying, you really got a good handle.
So that upcoming would be what
There'll
your
be a
physical
calendar.
therapist has already put in for you.
So they'll say this week you're gonna do this 2
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
And then it'll have a history of what you've done.
And in the history also, it would also include all of your notes, because after you're finished with your workout, a series of questions are gonna come up
Okay.
to be asking about your pain level, stuff like that, so that would all be logged in
And that's how
there.
you
So
track your progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would look something like
Very
this. This would be if you were to schedule an appointment, so there's gonna be drop-down menus of the symptoms you're having, and then also what availability you have, and then the doctor's office will see that, and you'll get a notification that your appointment's been scheduled, and then we'll have that, the same thing that after your workout. Yeah.
Okay, so what's next to be done?
There's a lot of things, like like, you go back to the homepage, and we wanna change like how even just like this looks, and make it's sort of like the group before us, like their website looks more professional, it's sort of very baseline right now, so
It
working
start,
on
okay.
stuff like that, it just.
And so what is
it's
the
not done.
business model? In terms of how we're gonna make money on
Doctors are gonna pay to be a part of it, and then,
it? There should be
Or
something,
practice.
okay, but can they put up videos or something themselves?
yeah, so
Where's that gonna be?
that's gonna be part of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you start your workout, like every workout's gonna have a video.
Okay, so are you gonna have a thing where you're gonna show also how the physical therapists are going to upload? Are you gonna have an end for that too?
Yeah, that's a
Like, it's gonna have to be a different app,
Because this is
So I think
like
you should do that.
patient versus
Yeah.
Okay, so
provider
you
line.
need to do that.
Right.
So do the, what?
So we can have two separate apps.
Yeah.
Two separate apps that you'll have for the physician app, and then you'll have theirs, and then be able maybe to rate them, or to get, or even, you can have one version maybe of advertisers. You know, if they don't want advertisers, then the users can subscribe.
Right.
And then another that is, another revenue generation is other advertisers, some of the physical therapists, along with even equipment makers, things like that, that you
Yeah.
can add to it. I would add that part of the revenue side and also of the patient, of the physical therapist side. And then even hospital rehabilitation centers, things like that are providing the PT can also be.
We also
covered.
did talk about, in the group of it, like telehealth stuff, as if
Yeah.
like, just
No, that
if
works
you were
for-
someone that wasn't able to meet your
Yeah,
appointment, maybe,
right, no, that would be
maybe
great, or
you
even
have
as a group,
feature.
you know, I can even see it as a group, those that are having some back pain, we're gonna have
Like, there'll be a forum on here.
Right, yeah.
But you can even do it telehealth, where, almost like how we're doing with the classroom broadcasting, we have other people participate.
Mhm.
You can have one where physical therapists, they could even get the permission of their patients, to say, do you mind, we're gonna broadcast and have other people join in.
That'd be a forum.
That could be a way for broadcasting. You could even show, on your website, you could even show an example of even doing something like the Hangouts on there, or other kind of broadcasting of how that could be done. Okay, that's what I would add. Okay, next, good, very good. Excellent in terms of starting with the prototype, very nice. Okay, next, who's group 3? You wanna bring up the, okay, just real short, yeah, just bring up.
Yeah, sure. First, we wanna.
So let's just make it, since we have it, let's make it like, no more than, let's make it short.
Sure.
No more.
I just wanna say, that one of the professors that came back to me, so you can. You're willing to come and present,
Uh-huh.
however, they need some, information regarding it.
Okay, let's do that, that's not relevant for now.
That's not, so you wanna do the muse first? Yes. Okay, so.
Okay. Just do it, just tell people what you're doing, because I think people were not clear what you're doing.
We'll pull up the website. Our project's kind of twofold. We're essentially gonna use a device called the Muse device. It's already made, and we're gonna monitor brain activity. The goal is, one, is to use that, and we're gonna, comment on if it's a good tool or not. It's advertised as using help for meditation, but it's also being used for research in many other fields in terms of monitoring brain activity. So we can put them in a high stress situation, you can wear it while you take an exam, and we can monitor how it is versus you're relaxed at the beach or you're calming and meditating. So we're gonna look at that and kind of give different situations, so we're gonna kind of use that to study it. So that's part of it. The other thing is, that we can do is with this website, is we can try out different other technologies that are out there and kind of, and give video advice on what works for us, what we recommend. We're not indebted to the company, so we don't have any bias with the company, so we can do that as part of helping people figure out which technology is good for them.
Just wanted to add, like, the final goal is to create an AI that can come up with answers and, explain to us whether or not we as an individual have a problem, but that will be the final step and final goal after we choose the product and
Okay.
everything. This is the website, it's not yet complete, like, it's like
We'll
parts
work
and
on the
parts.
website.
So let me do this, and maybe we can do this. This needs, let me talk to you offline on this one.
This is your, you tell us what to do.
Yeah, I will, because it's very, this is very confusing to me.
And so what the Muse is, just so you guys know, is
This is not just so I let you know, this is not stating what you're saying, so we need to redo this, but we'll talk about this offline, okay?
this is the Muse device, you wear it like
Okay.
this, it monitors your brain waves, kind of links up to where you're calm and has a baseline, and then you'll essentially put it on, and I have the video that I put up explaining all of it.
Uh-huh.
But let me show you guys, I can give you briefly, I don't know if the camera will put up there. Yeah, that's only, but it's just gonna be me explaining.
Okay, so you did it, okay.
But in terms, just to show you what it looks like, is when you do it, you monitor it, and it is playing, you kind of have your eyes closed while you're meditating, and it monitors your brainwaves through the music, and you can choose different themes. I did beach, so if the waves got really loud, it means my mind was too active, I need to focus on calming down. If it was slow and slow waves, it meant that I was doing a good job. And if you wanna look at past sessions, it'll say like how often your mind was active versus neutral versus calm, and you can monitor and look for improvements. And you can monitor how often you do it as well, and this is all the app that's already built in, and it'll show you the wavelength of kind of how it looks. So it's a good way of tracking it. You know, it's kind of it's like having a mindful coach that's there with you that monitors it, so it's pretty cool.
Okay. So what's the next step you need to do?
For us, is for you to confirm the pages on the website, and then we're already working on the views, so.
Okay, so you, for this class, this is the one product you're using,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yes.
all right,
So we'll be modifying the website according to the news.
okay.
According to what you want.
Okay, so what we can get the other group coming up. So what I would recommend in looking at this is a way in which you would say that you're evaluating.
I put that on the video, and I put my comments
Yeah,
on
but
what I'd
I'm
like
saying
to
in the
know.
website,
In
go
the
back
website,
to the
yeah.
website, it's not what you're describing, your website is not, that should be like in the very beginning, what's happening, and then you'll be able to say that it's almost like a demo site, a demo product evaluation kind of way in which you can get feedback from others, and then you can give it as well. So we need to go back and look at that and describe that.
Yeah.
All right, okay, next, what's the next group? What group are you?
Move to 3.
3, let's go 4. Where- Group 3, group 4, yeah, so let's just do this real quick.
It's more. And why is that a problem? Because then the name all in it looks like we have this general.
Okay,
So we're fine now, and basically what we do is, this is where we have on our about.
so who's missing in your group?
Kelly, she's such a-
Right.
So, what we do is we take the middleman out of prescriptions, of you getting your prescription. So what happens is the provider, basically on the app, they will send the signed prescription straight to you, so it's not like lost in the system, because like, we've had it, personally, we've had experiences where, providers will like fill out a prescription, and they're like, okay, just pick it up from your pharmacy, and then you get to the pharmacy, and it's gone, and they never received it. So, this sends it to you, so you have like access to your prescription, and you can send it to whatever your personal provider is.
Yeah.
We're also going to, help you financially, so we would provide generic options
Mhm.
for you that you can use, as well as, provide you with like discount codes, or where you could like purchase it cheaper, so like, let's say you use CVS, we could suggest a nearby Costco. And then you haven't built the app yet, so we're in the process of it.
Yeah.
And I
Did
know.
you pick one to use? For
Like,
the app?
yeah, we're gonna try this one called, I think it's like Monicone,
Okay.
is what it's called.
You may wanna reach out to the other members that have done already app development and get their feedback. Okay, all right.
And that's where we are right now. I know we
Okay.
said like last week that we were trying to decide, but we kind of like went on just, doing ads on the app to like
Okay.
help pay for it,
Okay,
so it's like easier.
All right.
to use.
okay. that was group, so basically we gotta work on that, especially the app. Okay, so what was the next group? To go back? Okay. So Kelly was just, so tell Kelly, I just wanted you to get feedback. All right. So who are we missing in your group?
Sharani.
Where?
Well, we have most of our website, but what we really have left to do is make the app.
Okay. Have you
and-
started?
Have we started now?
Okay.
And we need to make our website pretty like everyone
Yes,
else's.
okay. Well, we got to start, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's what we'll work on real quick.
Okay. So now at least you get feedback, you
Yeah.
understand why it's so good rather than, and it also gets you going as well. All right.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, so the next one, who's next? Is there?
Yeah.
Group 6, right? So who's missing here?
Sharad, he like broke something.
His
So,
finger.
Uh-oh.
He's on meds now, so we're making him progressive.
he's been mainly working on, like Sharad was mainly doing the website, so.
Okay. So what are we doing again?
So it's a mental health application.
Okay, all right.
We haven't really like decided on the name per se, like Lean On Me is what it is right now, but
Okay.
Just, you leverage the community, so, you know, most mental applications that are out there are either between the individual and the application, so
Right.
like during like anxiety or, you know, breathing applications and stuff like that, or between the individual and a physician, but there's not that many that use, you know, other users
Yeah.
that you can connect with, so.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure if all of these have things. Okay, they do, sweet. And then I like am almost done with the app, but then
Okay.
we also heard yesterday that we can't use Fluid. So I don't know how we've been in class every day and missed that fact, but
Well, I just said to use Beyond Fluid.
yeah. I mean
You
like,
understand? You can do this, but then use another app Beyond Fluid.
we tried one out, but it was like,
Okay, so try
So
some of the
hard
other
to
ones that, but who had it? The physical therapy group, what did you use?
Proto.io.
Huh?
It's called Proto.io. You just need to like watch tutorials for like a couple hours and then like
For a couple hours.
Like I literally spent like 2 hours.
Okay,
watching
and who
tutorials
else
with
used it
computer.
now? What else did somebody use? Did you guys use?
Just in mind.
Just
In mind.
MIND?
Yep.
Alright.
Keep it in mind.
I mean like,
And AppyPie too.
okay. I've tried Appy, but I didn't know that. I've
Okay.
tried it in the
Okay.
past, but
Okay.
I mean, at least now we kind of have a template.
Yeah,
for
no, you have a template.
What we
There's
want
no,
it to look like.
and keep it. You understand? Don't throw it away. Keep that. But I just want beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we have.
Okay, good. And you know what this is good for? It gives you a sense of, what this is nice is it's almost like a screencast kind of way that you can see.
Yeah, well, because I didn't want to have to like click through
Yeah,
it
right,
here,
right,
so
right,
I,
yeah. So I think that's good. So don't complain about it. It's good. Okay. All right, so we finished?
Yeah.
So everybody got, so what are we gonna do next? What's next for you guys?
Make the app, I guess.
And I guess go back with your website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yes.
Yeah. All right. Next is, Matt, do you wanna just give just a short overview? This is, I'll tell you who these folks are. These folks are, it's a great class. First of all, and it's a.
I'll be the judge.
Well, for me, it's a great class, okay? This is a health IT class, and who's in here are physicians, physical therapists, pre-med, and health business sector. So what we've talked about is kind of disrupting of the healthcare industry, especially in the United States. So their project was to come up with ideas on what they could do in the healthcare marketplace. And if you could just kind of give an overview of what you have in mind for your project, if you don't mind, just.
Yeah. Well, I have a little PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, hopefully
Or I
we
can
can.
just talk, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, let's see if we have a connection for you. So, we may be able to see if it'll work. If not, you can.
Yeah, I don't mind just talking.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can do that.
Just use this as a-
What?
I can just use this as a-
Yeah. If we can get you. Then you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background and what you guys are
Yeah,
trying to do.
absolutely.
Are you used, I don't know if you can get used to it.
Yeah, I just use an adapter.
You have an adapter for, they come prepared. And you can kind of see what it is, and you can kind of give them a feel for what it is to be on the other end of trying to get something.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background on me.
Okay.
I came over to the US from the UK in 2000, and my degree was in chemistry, and I did about 7 years of pharmaceutical research scientist.
Wow, so it's a coincidence, huh?
Yeah, but bad news, I hated it. So.
That's good that you have alternatives.
Yeah. Well, so after I got my green card and stuff, and I got my green card, and
Do you want us to, we can get your laptop there.
yeah, I'm not actually sure how to start this. I'm thinking not. Okay, so I came over, worked in pharmaceuticals for 7 years, and then I just one day just left it and just decided I'm going to start a tech company, and I kind of didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I quit and then figured out what I was doing, and I sort of I hired some developers because I didn't know how to code at the time, and I just kind of built something that I thought would work, and very bad strategy, but I managed to assemble a sort of ragtag team of people, mainly people who had a lot more experience marketing than I did, because I had none, and I was sort of like acting as a CTO, and I taught myself to code and stuff like that as I was building this thing out.
And this was this company or this?
No, this was years and years ago.
And this was to do what?
This was 2007, and it was like before the iPhone came out. So we had this. Basically, we were trying to connect real world products like cereal boxes and stuff like that with the internet. So QR codes, text message campaigns, and stuff like that. We built a platform that allowed people to create those and monitor them and look at analytics and stuff like that. We actually did, after I sold the company, we ended up.
So somebody bought it?
Yeah, somebody bought it. Yeah, we did.
That's
We
good.
did decent. We did a good job. And it was like a year and a half when we exited, so it was really quick. And after the company was bought, they started going into pharmaceutical stuff. So
Fun.
I had to escape. All that HIPAA compliance stuff, they were working on that. But honestly, I don't really know too much about that because I didn't really get involved in it. And so, I've been working on different projects that sort of interest me over the past few years. And I started this project, which is, this isn't on screen, but it doesn't matter, I can just talk.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have a website or anything?
yeah, well, we do, but it's kind of shameful.
But it's all right.
I
Yeah,
have a
it's
question.
pitch-
I don't understand. What did the app do, or what did it do? You said something about cereal boxes?
The one I sold, so it was,
Yeah.
it was like you could log in as an agency or as a company that makes like cereal or beer or whatever, something that has physical packaging. And you could log in and just very easily create campaigns, QR code based, text messaging based, and we created mobile websites. And back then it was way harder to play a video on a phone because like a Nokia would have a different video format than say a Samsung or whatever. It was just really complicated. So really what we did was we sort of brought all these disparate services together and just made it really easy for someone to create a campaign.
What is your website?
So the current one is pitch.net. It's really shameful.
But it's all right.
Yeah.
Pitch dot what?
Dot ventures.
Ventures?
Yeah.
Doctor?
Yeah.
Isn't there a panel up there where you can just?
Yeah, we did. We did the laptop. What's the issue here?
I don't know. It's connected. I can just send you the PowerPoint. How does
Yeah,
that sound?
yeah, okay.
Um, Sorry, guys.
Or you can
How
just,
should I send it to you?
you can send it to Gmail, DR, S for us.
PowerPoint.
S Rush at Gmail. Then we can see it.
All right.
Okay.
No subject. It's
Right,
fine.
fine. Did you
so
catch
yeah-
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
So, anyway, basically it was kind of, it was stuff that was needed at the time, but it's not really very useful right now. It was just an easy way for these agencies to create these mobile messaging campaigns. And so what we did was we partnered with a company that did a lot of packaging services. So the company's name was Graphic Packaging. They were based in Atlanta. And they did packaging for Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, Budweiser, and all these different companies. We spoke to them, showed them the technology, and said, we're going to give you a cut when we sell our technology. And they went out with their sales force and sold our product for us. So it was sweet. Didn't really have to do much of that. We just went to meetings with the companies and just, did demos and stuff, but they got us in the door. So anyway, since then I've been working on a bunch of different things. My current project is called Pitch. And really, the concept originally was just to match entrepreneurs with investors live, so that they could quickly get to meet each other and just decide whether they like each other, like the project and stuff like that. But started really digging into the world of ICOs recently. Does anyone know what ICOs are in this room?
No.
No? No? Okay.
So, it's good. This
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna hear about them for sure.
Yeah.
So basically, okay, that's our nice new logo. I like it anyway.
Okay.
Okay. So you can skip to the next
Okay.
page, please. So ICOs are this new way of fundraising or selling a bunch of tokens very, very quickly. People are raising huge amounts of money, and what they're doing is they're issuing tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. So anyone heard of Ethereum? You heard of Bitcoin?
Yes.
Okay, Ethereum's like Bitcoin, but you can program contracts on it. And one of the things you can do is create tokens. And the tokens can act like, if you go to Dave & Buster's or something and you want to play on the video arcade, you can't pay cash at the machine, you have to go and buy tokens, and then you spend those tokens at the machine. And so it's kind of like applying that concept, but to just a massively broad range of different possibilities. So people create tokens, the tokens are used on their products, and they basically pre-sell those tokens in an event at a big discount. And then because these tokens, by their nature, are able to be traded on exchanges, they kind of act a little bit like stocks. And it's basically like doing an IPO, but it's very, very easy. And but there's a big problem because people are raising massive, massive amounts of money with just like a white paper just describing what they're going to do. I mean, they don't even build their product. They just raise I'll show you the numbers in a bit. And a lot of it's junk, a lot of it's real useless nonsense. And so I thought this product that I've been sort of planning out could be applied to, can you go back?
Yeah.
Could be applied to ICOs. So, my thinking was essentially that because people are basically just sticking out a bunch of information about their product, and a lot of investors are just kind of saying, okay, I want to invest in a whole broad range of them. They never have time to digest the information. So I thought, well, there is one format that's really good at presenting the information related to a company in a very digestible way, and that is Shark Tank. So we thought, okay, we'll do Shark Tank for ICOs. So basically, we get entrepreneurs who want to raise money or sell products to pitch investors, or they can also just be experts. It's done over live video inside the app, and also while they're pitching each other, an audience can just casually watch, and well, more on that in a minute. One of the things that that we're going to implement after our ICO is the ability for the audience to actually buy tokens from the ICO, from the person who's pitching. So it's kind of like you're watching Shark Tank.
And
you
you're
see a
gonna
product-
invest, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be like all the other,
Yeah, you can
invest-
invest with the shark, basically.
you'll
Yeah.
be investing. Isn't that an interesting idea? It's almost like a crowdsourcing in a way.
Yeah, it's like a rapid crowdsourcing thing, and then
Okay.
you know after they've done their pitch, they'll be able to do another pitch to someone else, and we'll also create them a landing page and so on that helps them sell tokens. There's another thing that's like a looming concern for this space, which is you know there are questions about whether the SEC will really see these as stocks or whatever, you know, and sort of securities basically. And so we're trying to help some of the startups do know your customer stuff that all banks have to do, where they ask for your passport.
So that KYC, you see there on the slide, where he says the entrepreneur can feel secure that we handle KYC, that's know your customer. And the AML is from,
Anti-money
money
laundering.
laundering tech, so for instance, the United States was really big, especially after the Patriot Act, they wanted to, they wanted these banks, if they ever gave money or took money in, they were requiring them to know their customer.
Yeah, and actually I think money laundering might be a big problem for ICOs because it's the way that a lot of them are doing it, it's completely anonymous. So if I just made a bunch of money selling cocaine or something like that, I can go and just like send it anonymously to this this ICO, get tokens, and then just sell them, and then it looks like I just, you know, it's hard to trace.
And then you have no right money, right?
Yeah, so.
So that's why it wouldn't be approved, you're saying?
That's one of the things.
So
that,
how are you going to overcome that?
Well, we have, so we've been working with a partner that does some verification checks, and we're just going to integrate that into our platform. And it really involves, the real problem is not that you have to do it, it's that you have to do it for everything you want to invest in, right? So we're trying to just help people do it once, and then they can participate.
So
in a
you're
bunch of
gonna be
investments.
you're gonna be the platform for the investor and the entrepreneur.
Yeah, we're just trying to make the whole process much quicker. I mean, it's a real hassle getting in front of investors who want to speak to you about your product. And we're just trying to make it as easy as like Tinder or something.
Okay, so where is your business model then?
So,
How are you gonna make money?
I have a slide on that.
Okay.
That's the same one.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the things we have to, so the entrepreneurs obviously they're pitching, they may raise money, there's their incentive. The audience, you know, they get to participate in token sales, which people love to do because you can make money really quickly. And also you can learn just like people learn.
Okay,
from
how are
Shark
they
Tank.
gonna make money quickly? So let's say one of these, one of my groups here, these outstanding students that I have, right?
Yeah.
Will vote on it, and they'll be your entrepreneur.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay, so they'll go onto your system. So I think it's a great idea. How am I gonna make money?
Okay, so you're gonna make, you're a
I'm an
casual
investor,
viewer?
right?
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
an investor. I have
So you
billions
s-
to invest,
Yeah, so
and
you
this
see
is
them,
what.
they're offering tokens for their platform, right?
Right.
You buy it from them at a discount.
Okay.
And then you take those and immediately just sell them on one of the exchanges for a multiple.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
I'm.
these multiples are crazy, it's like,
Okay.
it's really dramatic.
So it's not that they're going to be, I'm not really, so in a way, I'm not investing with them?
You're capitalizing them, and you know, you're buying their product, but you can choose to hold it. Okay, so you guys are not in this world of, so you don't know the level of
No.
crazy money that people make.
No.
Okay, I had a friend who advised me about this product called Ethereum, which is like the next level.
You wanna write it down so they can,
It's
they can
called-
research?
Uh,
We have a
yes,
web- yeah.
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
afterwards. So I bought $70 worth of
You
Ethereum.
did?
Yeah,
You,
personally.
you're personal.
Personally.
Nothing about $70, okay.
When it was $2,
Okay.
right? And I forgot about it. I didn't. I was going to buy more, and then I kind of just didn't bother.
Right.
And a year later, I checked, and that had become $11,000. So 1 year, that's like I don't know.
And what
it's
is it worth
ridiculous.
today?
Now it's worth about the same, but it's starting to creep up again. And so this is not unusual in this space. So there's a big incentive for people to participate
So,
in this token sales.
okay.
Can you sell out now and just take the money?
Yeah, can, but I'm not going to. Yeah. accumulating it as fast as I can.
So, what will be the next online currency that might boom up beside Bitcoin? Because
Well,
there's a lot of
it could be tied to, I mean, because these tokens that you create can act exactly like Bitcoin or like Ethereum or whatever, it could be, you know, for your product. It could be for anything. It could be, I mean, there are certain things, certain applications that are really useful, like privacy contracts and things like that, but I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be anyone in this room.
Why are people so hesitant to use Bitcoin? Like, it's very controversial
Mm.
in like the media, I feel.
Because, I mean, one of the arguments is it's not backed by anything, so, but then no currency is really backed by anything, so it doesn't make any sense. It's volatile. It's very volatile, very volatile. I mean, you know, just this past weekend, Bitcoin dropped by 30% in value, but it's already back, and it's heading higher, so yeah, it's a crazy Wild West space. It's
So
really,
Bitcoin is a competitor of Ethereum?
they kind of focus on different things. Yeah,
So
Ethereum
is more
allows you
that
to create.
contract one that you said?
Yeah, you can create contracts like, for example, everybody pools their money, and then you need multiple signatures to spend that money. So you can do things like that. You can do, you can create tokens. You can create, you know, set offerings for sale of tokens and things like that. There's all sorts of things you can do with it. You can build whole web apps on them, actually, on it.
Whole what?
Whole web apps. Yeah, it's really clever stuff. So anyway, the gist of that last
Oh,
slide
here we
was
have the
that.
Ethereum. So
Yeah.
they can, you see that, the word Ethereum there?
So the last, can you go back one slide?
Yeah.
Just on back to finish that one. So the final participant in the system is the investor, right? And the question is, why does an investor want to speak to random people? Well, we're going to be awarding them tokens just for participating, just for taking their time to do the due diligence on these companies that present.
So who will you give tokens to?
For example, the Mark Cubans and you know, those kinds of characters from Shark Tank.
Right.
When they come on the platform, they earn tokens for their time.
Okay.
Yeah. Which become worth something later. That's the thing. Yeah. So we are running a token sale, and basically we created tokens, created a smart contract that people can contribute to, and our tokens, like I said, they're used to buy services on the platform, and I'll tell you what those are on the next slide. Okay. Yeah. So things like it's very typical when you're listing a startup that you want to get funding for to pay a fee. So we will have some small fee for listing your company on the platform, and then you can pay extra to get featured, and you can use the tokens that you buy to swap those tokens with tokens created by the startups that are presenting. So for example, let's say you create, I don't know, 100,000 tokens for your startup, which represents some utility on there. And someone who's bought our tokens, they'll just very simply be able to swap at some exchange rate.
So this is gonna be real time, so this woman
Real time.
here, she's, I guess.
This is a mock-up.
Of course, but she's the entrepreneur, and these folks down here are the possible inventors. How is this?
We need to change this, but yeah, the idea is that it would be a different view for each person, and you know that there would be one entrepreneur pitching to. At the moment, we only have one investor speaking to one entrepreneur, but we may go in this direction, which is like, you know, pitching to a crowd of investors.
And then, and I as just a observer, I see it in real time. I'm seeing this all in real time, and I can just.
And you can
will
choose
go-
to buy as well. You can choose to buy tokens as well.
And will there be some kind of counter that'll be running, or just that'll be private, how much this entrepreneur is getting?
Actually, you'll be able to see the individual transactions on the amounts.
So I'll be
Based
seeing
on the
it.
way it's
So
done.
it's almost like a stock exchange ticker
Yeah.
that I'll be able to see.
Which is good in a couple of ways. One, it's transparency.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I suppose, is that it's a like social proof of the startup being able to raise money. So that's good. And then we'll have additional platform features as well. I think I have one more slide. So this is really what I was just saying before, that as soon as you receive a token, you can just trade it. Even if there's only one token created in the world, you can go and trade that, and someone will give you money.
So
or give you Bitcoin or
how well What's that, is it rising now, this Ethereum, or it's
Yeah, I mean,
from, I guess from that one?
if anyone's interested in getting Ethereum, you can get Coinbase. It's an app for your iPhone, for your Android phone, or for a computer or whatever. And you can just buy it. I mean, it's very easy. Put your credit card in and buy it. And it shows you all the prices and stuff. And Ethereum's like $320 now or something.
Hey, how are you?
Brandon, he's
Right,
an
now
investor
that
in this
you-
platform as well.
Okay, hi, okay,
We just finished.
we're just finished.
Yeah. No, that's
No,
irrelevant.
we're finished, okay.
Just, I talked about some big numbers being raised this way. I mean, these are typical, and many of these don't have a product. They just have a white paper describing what they're going to do.
Okay.
So it's really Wild West at the moment.
Well, we'll go into it in more detail in my next, seminar, because formally, did you have a question?
Yeah, is like the core of your thing like the token side of it, or having an app on which people can pitch and people can invest in?
The app is the platform, right?
Yeah.
And the tokens are a component of that because that's how people buy services and how it's part of how they use the platform.
So theoretically, you could change from Ethereum to another
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Ethereum's just a nice base. It's well
Right, that you're
supported as well.
starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You may have noticed that. So basically, we're going to launch our token sale in January. That's the goal, anyway. That's really all it is.
Yeah, okay,
I think that's the end.
yeah. So are you looking for anybody to help you in terms of insurance?
Yeah, I would love to speak to anyone who's, especially with a computer science background.
That'll be next time, because these people are more into.
We're okay.
I mean,
I
think it's threw you all under the bus, right?
So anyone who's interested in getting involved, let me know. You can always talk.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah.
So like, you pay investors, but like, what are the qualifications for an investor, like the capital they have versus investment,
Yeah, so, well, I'll just tell you what we have right now that's subject to change. We do a verification that they're accredited. So that means that you have more than 1 million net worth, or you have, I believe it's 300,000 per year annual income. That's to be one of the investors that speaks on the platform, but to actually buy tokens on the platform, there's no such requirement.
That's kind of what we're trying to disrupt, is the ability for the average Joe to be able to invest in a startup. Like, how many of you have watched Shark Tank and been like, yeah, I would invest in that, right? Well, now you can take $100,000, $200,000 and do that, just by purchasing the coins and exchanging them for the altcoins of the company pitching.
Or less.
And your whole idea of doing coins is that people will be gearing because they can kind of like invest it into, that's the idea?
There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do with the
Okay.
coins beyond what I described, and I just think it's honestly the easiest way to do this. It's a really, really good system that we're building on.
So how are you gonna make money out of this?
So, well, we're gonna make money because, one, so that I don't want to position this as a money raise. This is a token sale. We're pre-selling services, so that's revenue for the company.
Okay.
And but some of the tokens that are being bought, some of them will be used to buy services on the platform, and so that can be revenue for the company.
Like services like what?
Like listing your pitch, like getting featured, there's all sorts of
Okay, there'll be other ways in which you give them services.
and educational services we will do some.
Right, yeah, like what I was telling you is I think you should do basically a service of this ICO thing.
Yes,
You
well.
know what I mean, for other types of applications, that's where I think is, because nobody knows about this, like you can see, here's a group of educated, generally educated people, they have no clue on what this is even about, and especially with something like Ethereum, people have heard about at least Bitcoin, even though they don't know quite how it works, and some of them are scared, or or I can make a lot of money, or I can lose a lot of money really quickly.
It's definitely scary, scary space.
Right, no, but it's an interesting opportunity. I'll tell you what, and I wanted you for 5, but I told you some earlier, thank you very much, is the next group, do you think about the security part of this?
In what way? Like someone stealing from our funds? Yeah.
Yes,
We have to.
and even getting in, because my next seminar is is a security class.
Well,
Cybersecurity
if you'd
and
like me to come down for that.
no, it's in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So when you wanted us to get here earlier, it was so that we could speak to an even earlier
No,
class?
no, I just was, no, I just said that I don't know what the traffic is, that you just could come early, that's all.
Oh.
That was my idea.
So, you want me to do this?
If,
I'm fine with it, yeah.
unless you want to come down again, it's up to you.
No, this is great, we're here.
You're here already, you know what, I'm just telling you that it can be short, but just your idea, and then focus in
Yeah.
on the security aspect.
Yeah, well, the way it works is with ledgers and with crypto. I mean, that's kind of what makes it almost impenetrable, right?
Well,
You see this?
or do you know, or are you dealing with this, or is we?
That's his job.
Oh,
No, but I mean, we don't have to build a secure blockchain because we're already using one, which is Ethereum. But we do have to make sure our contracts are kind of airtight. Because one of the problems with writing smart contracts is it's very easy to write a program that does what you want. It's quite hard to write a program that doesn't do what you don't want, right? Like, so someone can always figure out.
And how far are you along in this?
Oh, quite far, quite far.
Meaning what?
Well,
What does that mean?
meaning, I mean, basically, I have a token cell contract that works right now. I'm just, jazzing it up. And
Meaning that it works, is there a way in which you can show that? What
That
can
would
you-
be, I could, that would be a little more.
I don't wanna put you in, I don't wanna put you, but it's so ethereal for people to understand
Yeah.
that if you get a practical idea of what, and how far have you gone on your
I can
app? Yeah.
diagram out how the contracts work.
Yeah. Get on more of a technical area in there, and then we can kind of look at something, in that aspect, that they can have it, and then maybe some of these people that have a technology background can help you
Yeah.
with it, but if they understand it, you know what I'm saying? More in depth of what you're doing,
We're
then
definitely looking
it,
to add people.
Huh?
Sure, we're looking to add people.
okay, so
We've got,
maybe.
we're gonna be.
Okay, let me just work with this group
Yeah, yeah,
here,
sure.
and then you guys can speak together, okay.
The late, one of the people in the room.
Yes, I thought that was like, the class was ending when we weren't even supposed to start until now. I think only people that we were
Yeah.
like,
I was
this
sat here like,
Class,
Right,
you have
right,
questions, so I'm
right.
gonna forward the email to you, and then you can take it.
Well, I saw it, somebody.
Yeah, I
did
forwarded,
quick-
so I didn't know, because I figured,
Yeah, it was a long day, and was
Yeah.
it worth the trip up there?
The earlier the better,
It was
right?
good, yeah, everyone was bought in.
So-
So maybe at.
We got like-
at-
Did you get back into the house and then there was a meeting about it or
Or
something?
3,
which
4,
date, the 27th?
Was it a mansion
when we
or?
come back on the
No, they moved
27th,
it,
and then they can
it's got
come.
like a giant Hollywood sign in the house. So it
Oh,
was
it's Monday,
better
right?
presented and everyone was like, trying to.
Yeah, but they're gonna make us forward, so they can, they don't have to do it. I think of what's available,
3:35.
Yeah, no, it's not.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Maybe ask
And
them
then
to come
I
and
said,
speak
well, I'll
forward,
get
so
to
we
really
can
never-
set up so we
never
can
used.
35, 340, for about 20 minutes, of just talking about what they have, what they're doing in the center, what do they have available. And now, in that sense, then or even 35 minutes, we can meet.
So if you guys said.
I've been thinking about it. I actually get
What are they
paid.
doing at this time?
It'd be for you to make the because I have one of those
Deal with them, right,
Yeah, I
you
mean-
can deal
Yeah.
with, that you already have a face-to-face
Actually using
I mean, just, I
contact
was.
with
sounds
the
like
person.
obviously.
No,
So you can just
you
run
want
the
to
signal,
do
run the
something.
signal,
We should be
proceed to
friendly
the
web
web
app.
And then it just runs one email. Yeah, you
What's
start
going
like
on
that's
there, what's
what
going in the lab,
you
how it relates,
Build
files, and use technology all to help.
We use like.
This is a way for you to make it easier.
Yeah, I don't think we.
I'm
So you're already meaning or then giving it, rather than just saying demanding somebody, I come to his house and I said, you know, can I borrow
I love the idea of
cars?
marketers, because they're good at chopping up videos and editing videos and stuff.
But if I make a
Yeah, no, I
connection,
mean,
Obviously, video ideas.
we're about 20.
Okay, I get you.
They can come on that Monday. So that way we can have it. I think that's best. And then they're willing, and then that other person is coming,
actually, I
is
did-
even interested in meeting that other person.
You know,
You know, who's,
I mean, they look
they're
good.
doing,
Yeah, this is
what
like-
they're doing, is
like
they're
it.
gonna be forecasting,
Yeah, I just noticed it, it looks good.
And they do a
It looks
biopsy,
like,
they're
it
gonna
looks-
do,
ethereal.
AI,
It
to
does.
be able to see
Yeah, but the thing
when
is
they're
that
gonna.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
This is down, down, that thing.
And the website, what's confusing, what I had to use with the website is that you're gonna be, I guess, evaluating different products.
And one of them is in use, and then the other thing is that.
Yeah, I added you to that
Doing
group
that different
of guys that
valuations.
I'm in with my mastermind
Yeah.
group.
And then also
they're trading it.
saying, okay,
doing pretty
we
well.
like, how do, we can use some news to study
They've been trading
different
everything.
brainwaves, we can figure out, okay.
They're talking
how
every
we
day about
respond
what
in
their
this
positions
situation.
are for the day.
Versus
And they're all
Yeah, so when I looked at your
They were
website.
short, they were short on Bitcoin, and when it crashed,
Not even the
and
news,
they
but what,
nailed it,
in
and they
general,
bought it at the
and
bottom.
one
They
example
bought,
is you're starting off
the
with,
Bitcoin counter
news.
gets
I don't want the
on the way up.
website
It
to
was a
be
number.
advertising
No, they're
news,
not.
but rather
Us,
hearing
who about, and
What is,
then
Bitcoin
we use
counter? I don't understand.
So we need
is
to
one
work, yeah, we
thing.
need to work together.
Right, you need to work together on presenting, so please for money, and then you can say it, we're evaluating a number of different, first,
Yes, I'm
we
taking.
can evaluate a number of different topics. The topic that we're choosing now is the EEG or something like that. And one
So
of the
now you can
products
either
that we're
mine either
starting
or,
off with
but if you
is,
have
for
goals,
example, the news, and then there will be a situation in which others can recommend products, and why us is the idea that it's objective, that it's not the,
We have
it's
no,
not,
financial.
relationship with it. And if other possibilities, if other companies want us to review their product, if it fits in our needs, we'll be willing to evaluate. But that should be
yeah,
the
they've
way
been putting, you didn't follow
an
any of the posts on my
independent
Like, no.
group of people are evaluating products, and in this
We're talking
group
about
right
what should
here,
we get
this is
into,
what we're
like, just,
interested in.
yeah.
Later on, there could be another section of a financial group, there could be another section of things for, you can even, healthcare in, associations, or looking
That
at.
personal wallet thing.
Right, or whatever, I don't get that, you guys, as I said,
Yeah, a lot of people make
this
it for your
time
I
now,
agree.
you have that, this whole week off, if you can get it together, this will be not just.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's-
That's how I do it. You got, you agree with me?
Oh, they're coming down? Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but I just think about it's looking at the way of evaluating systems, products, and
We have
the way
Looks good the way you put it together.
you can take it from our sense that you can get evaluators around the whole world, and then others can. And one of the things that would be good is that you have those, you can start with.
All we need is 1%. Iota, Arc, and Neo were the three leads. That was
There's
from
a
Monday.
section where other groups, if you'd like to be a group,
And if you have comments, please let us know.
right, and then you have other people.
Are you in any of these roles, like Iota, Arc, and Neo?
Or,
Mostly just,
or you can even, if there's things here from the vendor that we've gotten incorrectly, if they want to respond, you'll give a section for them to respond, because we may be not using it correctly, there may be other ways, or we forgot that we have an update on this or something like that. All these vendors can apply, respond. So there can be a response. And
Maybe
then
we can get our
there's
guys
the
to
evaluation.
hype it, like, we'll just all buy a bunch and then hype it.
You're the 586 number. Concentrating on per se just an app. You know what I mean? It could be.
This guy Leo was
I'm pretty close to
Dr.
Those are.
Amazon
We should okay on next Monday. and then-
Next Monday when we come, and then if we.
We're not here next Monday.
No, I mean, the Monday when we come back, and that's the beauty here, is that you have,
show.
you have a time to do it. Okay?
That's all.
Then I'll fix it from
Yeah, okay.
now, like, we know exactly what
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So are you're ready for, you got it all together, you got ready for the presentation, okay? And you guys are ready, which ones are you doing?
4.16.
Okay, and what are you doing?
I'm doing 3.10 and then we can do 3.17.
Okay, and what, and did you get mine now, well, you'll see whatever it is. And are you presenting? Eden. Okay, so what, how many groups I have? I have 1, 2, and are you guys presenting? Okay, so we have 2. Okay. What? Okay. All right, let me just tell you what we need.
10 cents,
So
and
let me
I
just
begged my
see.
father to invest like 20,000, 2,000, 20,000 dollars, and he was like, nah, because he wasn't in it, but then. Oh, okay, so see, you got that was 20 years ago. It's right now, the new currency. There you go. Because that would be, that's something new, I think.
That was the first message we sent to that group in a long time.
What?
I don't have any comment. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna try to do something else, then something else might get a bit down, because it's getting a bit. I know it's possible.
That's the percentage, John.
Honestly, it's like 5 and 9
Actual treatment can give you.
This is the whole group.
Different
Okay.
situations.
So, you're doing what kind?
I'm doing 3.10. There's a link to it on Blackboard.
Okay, window access control?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you guys doing? Jesse?
We're doing network intrusion detection.
Which is the,
4.16, the book, 4E doesn't have the Windows.
okay,
It's just.
all right,
I'm doing 3.17.
3.17,
Yeah.
okay. Network confusions, okay.
Yeah, 3.15 actually required a Linksys
Oh,
router.
okay.
And I couldn't.
Right, all right. So let's do this. We have, we'll do this afterwards, but I invited a couple of interesting guys that are entrepreneurs, and they wanted to get your feedback. So how do you want to do this?
I mean, I can either run through that, or I can talk about the it seemed like the Ethereum thing was interesting to people. so
Yes,
talk about that.
give it like an overview of what you're trying to do,
Okay.
and then you can even have like the board or anything like this to, talk about it, and then get from them, where do you wanna go with this? Cause I think it's an interesting kind of, part, so who wants?
Yeah, actually, Brian, give you a.
Brian, you wanna give?
Sure.
Do you wanna do, you want it with your slides, or?
We can just talk, it's fine.
Okay, but they can even at least, maybe just even see what your,
All right, so, well, do you wanna? give
yeah,
the-
you can go up.
Okay, so,
Stand up.
yeah. So,
You can come over here and just introduce yourself and kind of think about what you wanna do and.
yeah, so, it's pretty small group, so it
Yeah.
can be pretty informal, right?
Right.
Basically, you guys must be familiar with Shark Tank. And so we've created an app that matches entrepreneurs with investors on your phone through live video. So if you can imagine as an observer or as an entrepreneur, you can at any time see a live pitch that's happening or a pre-recorded pitch. So let's say that you as an entrepreneur, you want to find an investor. You would upload your summary of your startup or whatever you're trying to raise money for, an investor would see it and then tap you and say, pitch me, and then you guys are instantly live. Everyone on the platform would get an alert, there's a live pitch going on, and then people would be tuning in live, okay? So that's what we already have developed, that's an iOS. What we're doing next is we're
So
actually.
I subscribe to it, and then I would get, just like I would do, like YouTube Live, I subscribe, and then I'm gonna get my alert, there's a pitch
Yeah,
going on.
yeah, you would get notifications when pitches happen, and you'd be able to see the summary, see what's going on. We've had a lot of pitches on there from people doing cryptocurrency and ICOs. How many of you are familiar with that space, with cryptocurrency? Okay,
So you wanna explain the?
Who knows what an ICO is, anyone? No?
Okay, so an ICO would be like, well, we'll explain what crypto is in a second, but an ICO is the equivalent of an IPO. So when a company goes public, they sell their shares to the public on the stock exchange. This would be the equivalent of selling your cryptocurrency on different exchanges, but it's instead of stock, it's crypto. But yeah, you can explain what crypto tokens are and everything.
I can go into it. Yeah, so, well, so you're familiar with Bitcoin, I guess. Everyone knows Bitcoin. So who's familiar with Ethereum? Yeah, anyone?
No.
Just one.
Okay, all right, so Ethereum is like Bitcoin, but you can write smart contracts on it, right? You can create like business rules and different things like that. It's basically programmable money, which people talk about Bitcoin as programmable money, but it's not really very easy to program. Ethereum's, I mean, it's almost like you're programming in JavaScript, essentially. The language is very similar to JavaScript. So you can create contracts and things like tokens that represents kind of stock in your company, essentially, although it's not, it doesn't quite work that way. Yeah, so an ICO is basically just when you're selling these to the public for the first time. So the question is like, how do they derive their value when they're not really stock? Well, the answer is it's like if you've ever been to Dave & Buster's, right, and you want to play on one of the machines, you can't pay in cash. You have to go to the counter and buy a card with tokens on it, right, and you can spend those tokens at the machine. That's what these tokens represent for your system. So you have a platform that offers some kind of service, and you sell that service and it's denominated in your tokens. So people come and basically send your tokens to you, and then you take it as payment and so on. And so the idea is, if the platform gets big enough, and like imagine if Facebook required that you pay for the advertising on the platform using Facebook tokens. I mean, like those tokens would be as good as money, right? Because everyone needs it. But then again, if it's a small platform, it wouldn't be very useful. So the concept of these token sales is that you're going to sell a lot of these tokens. You're going to build an awesome platform that gets a lot of traction, and then they're going to be worth something.
Yeah, so you're buying at a discount, and then on the open market, they're going to have additional value. That's the hope when with people pitch an ICO and you're investing low, hoping that it goes up.
Yeah.
Everyone has that dream that it's going to do what Bitcoin did and go from 10 cents to $7,000 or whatever it is.
Ethereum did last year.
Yeah, or even what if.
Like I bought some $2, and then I check a year later, it's like $400. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those. Ethereum, like he's saying, is a much more practical, usable base. It's you have this blockchain technology, and then you can write on top of it what you want it to do, and it's like an if this happens, then that happens. So a lot of companies are using that as their base of coin for their services. So there's one that has. I'll give you an example. Like I do a lot of importing and exporting. That's my main business. So there's actual. I have to constantly transfer money for my logistics to China. And it's a real big pain in the butt. I have to go through banks, I have to pay fees, I have to wait for wires to clear, I have to do currency exchanges. But if we were dealing all in this coin, then it would be instant. I would just be able to buy more of the coin on the exchange and then transfer it instantly for pennies instead of $50 a time or $75 at a time. And it would be faster and cheaper. And that's kind of what where we're going in the future, faster, cheaper. And that's what these technologies can do. So the way our coin would work is that you would have the ability to buy services within the app, but the main one would be that you can, while you're watching someone pitch their startup, you can say, I would invest in that, and then you can just hit a button and exchange our coin for their coin. And now you're invested in their company. And you could start building up a portfolio of all these altcoins that they have. And we would be providing a service of creating coins for the entrepreneurs that are pitching on the app as well. So.
And if I invest in that company, am I concerned that
Invest.
Basically, if I say, oh, you got a great company, let's say you do it on your own, right, and I say that that's a great company, I'm an investor, I want to so-called invest in your company, aren't I gonna be concerned about what that price of that Ethereum is going to be?
So
In the
you're
future?
gonna be concerned, if you buy, let's say, a specific example, you know, I'm a new company on the platform, and Brandon's an investor, when I'm pitching him, you watch, you think my product's really cool, you wanna buy some tokens. You buy them, you have a choice, you can just sell them straight away if you want, or you can hold them, and then you just have the same choices you make if you're holding a stock or whatever. You know, you just watch it, you're gonna be paying attention to what we're doing. A lot of people get so invested in it, they end up helping the company do free marketing and stuff like that, because they really want it to win.
You can actually get rewards. So a lot of these companies are actually rewarding people who are doing marketing for them with additional coins.
Yeah.
So a lot of these marketers that are out there pushing these ICOs are making tons of free money just because they're out there and they're getting the word out about an ICO before it happens, and they end up with a bunch of coins that they immediately sell on the exchange, and they put a bunch of money in their pocket or they hold it. And we're not talking about a little bit of money. Some of these ICOs are raising $50, $100 million in a matter of days.
Yeah, there's one called Monetha, which raised $38 million in 18 minutes. So it's like, you know, I don't know who the investors are, but I understand it was just people giving like $100, 1,000, 10,000 a piece.
So what is
it's incredible.
this versus other funding organizations? So the key here in other funding organizations is what?
Centralization. You have the banks involved. You have the government involved. You know, we're trying to go to a system that's a little bit more decentralized, where we have more free will and we don't have to get the government involved. You know, how many of you, like, if you've watched Shark Tank and you've been like, I'd invest in that, then, you know, you can't, because you're not an accredited investor. You don't have an easy way to invest in it. That startup. If you contact them, they don't want to have 1,000 investors on their cap sheet. That's what they call a capitalization sheet, where it shows everyone that's invested in the company. The dirtier that is, the less appealing it is to larger investors like angels and you know,
So
venture capitalists.
so these companies are gonna be pre-angel, is that who you?
Yeah, I mean, the way I think
Could be.
about it in a way is that essentially you get access to a startup that could be Facebook or it could be Friendster, and you get it at the very early days. And the good thing is you can invest, you know, today, and then tomorrow you're like, oh, I don't think this
But
will
I'm not
be
gonna
good.
have
So
like
you
a
just sell.
percentage of the.
You don't get a percentage of the company, no.
No, but
Well,
the coins
it's
would have
open.
value based on what they do. So that's what you need to look at.
Yeah.
Right. So every company has a white paper that explains what their coins are going to do and what the value behind it is and why it has value. It's your job as a consumer and your own responsibility to determine whether you think that has legitimacy, right? So we have an ICO that we're doing in January, and we have a white paper out. Whether people think that our platform is going to hold water and our technology, then that would warrant people investing in it. But like he said, there are many companies doing ICOs right now that are raising millions of dollars that their white papers are complete garbage. You know, the majority are terrible. And you read it and you're like, why would this coin ever have value? Why would this platform even be good? And meanwhile, they're still raising all of this money. So we want to try to. So that's a problem that we're trying to solve as well, because if you see an educated investor that's interviewing them, you know, because when you watch Shark Tank and the sharks are asking questions, you're learning from that. You're understanding what types of questions to ask, and when they tear a company apart, it may be from an angle that you weren't even thinking. And you may have wanted to invest, and now after you hear them getting torn apart, you're like, well, he has a point. Maybe I don't want to invest. So our platform solves that problem to an extent, because we would have educated investors who are asking the right questions, or asking enough questions to where you would feel comfortable investing at that point, tearing apart that white paper and understanding it.
So you're gonna be paying your prime investors that are asking the questions?
We might be compensating with tokens, and we have a rewards program for that that we're setting up. But for the most part, it's going to be because they want deal flow. They want, a lot of these investors need a platform to
So
find.
when I'm
potentially
viewing this investors, do I have to, can I view this anonymously? Or I have to?
Yeah, no one sees who you are. Like, you can have any name you want on your platform or user. Like, if you're just watching, we have over.
If I'm watching, can I do it anonymously, or can I just, do I have to log in with the name?
No, well, you have to, so, on the platform at the moment, you do have to log in, but there's really not a good reason why you should have to log in,
Yeah.
so we'd probably strip that out for some some levels of usership, you know.
Just to view, watch a show or whatever,
Watch
like
it.
you might not need to log in. But let's say you wanna
To
participate,
invest.
you wanna talk, you
No, but
want, you
if
wanna
I,
ask a question.
but if I just wanna view, I can just view without
Yeah,
any.
currently you have to log in, but you know, that's something that we can look at, if you wanna make it, like, just ease, make people be able to watch. The entire like, we have 100+ investors on the platform now, and the majority don't want to do pitches. They've told us, they've said, look, we just wanna watch the other pitches, because we wanna watch the deal flow, but we don't wanna necessarily be in front of the camera.
Right.
So they can message directly with the people that put their summaries, and there's a lot of chatting going on, but they don't want to do a live pitch. But there are some people that just love being in front of the camera, and you'll see like Matt does a bunch of videos, especially on the crypto side, because he's on trying to understand what their philosophies are, why they think they're going to be valuable, and you know, we have a few other investors that are active.
So what is your challenge going forward?
Well, the first challenge is getting word about the ICO out quickly, you know, so I mean, the reason I probably look super tired is because I just came back from Phoenix. I flew there yesterday, and I met with a bunch of marketers who've been doing internet marketing for a long time at a large scale, and so we're partnering with them to get the word out about the ICO. Essentially, they're just going to be selling tokens like you'd sell shoes or whatever on the internet. So that's the first challenge. Another challenge we have, of course, is the smart contracts that we use to collect payment and to issue the tokens. We just have to, you know, quadruple check them, you know, and make sure that we have people try to figure out ways to break them, because we're keeping them simpler than most people keep them, but all the same, there's always, you know, someone can still be clever and try and steal money from us, essentially. So we have to be very careful about that.
So how are you gonna do that?
Well, we're gonna have, we're gonna write the contracts, like I say, a version of them is already written, but the next thing is take it to, you know, to other experts and just get them to go through it and point out, you know, logical errors and things like that, things that could be, you know, probed and broken.
Like what? Give an example of what could be broken.
One of the things that can happen is someone can call a function within the contract and call it again before it completes. And if you write, say, the sequence of instructions so that you're basically paying money somewhere before you, like one example, a specific example is, let's say you have a refund mechanism, right?
Okay.
You can call that refund mechanism and there's a check in there to make sure that the person is actually, you know, eligible for that refund, right? But sometimes that can be, it can be written so that
And
the
these
check.
and these functions are written in what? In a programming language?
Yeah, in Solidity, it's very similar to JavaScript.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's designed specifically for these contracts. So the point being, they trigger it, they get the refund, for example, and then they don't complete it, they call it again, and then it basically stops halfway and just
So
pull money
how
out.
will I know that this is secure? What, you have another part? So it seems like
Well,
all of this
there are
is so
certifications.
new.
No, there are companies that provide certifications as well.
Yeah, so there are lots of, like Zeppelin Solutions is one, that there are a few of them. They all they do is look at people's contracts and try and break them. And so that's
Yeah,
it.
so we would have their certification before we launch. Essentially, you know, it's little things like that, but the base of it is ERC20 is Ethereum. So I mean, it's solid. I mean, that hasn't been broken and probably won't be. It's a really good blockchain technology, which is why it's being chosen so much. It's just a matter of the logic that we're in the contract that we're writing on top of it that we need to check, which isn't, like he said, he's keeping it very simple. But like he said earlier before everyone got in, it's not a matter of what it'll do what we want it to do, but we want to make sure it doesn't do things that we don't want it to do also. So that's where people can exploit it. And so those are the things that we need to just
Isn't
to
it,
triple check.
I would think your bottleneck would be in education, since so many people aren't aware
I
of
know
this.
you'd be really shocked at how many people are just, you know.
So you don't think that the idea of educating the public about these ICOs and about Ethereum, you don't think that that's That's a blocking for
You
you.
know what's the biggest educator is when people see their friends making massive returns. Like,
Yeah, but I've also seen those in pyramid schemes too, where I've
Yeah.
had friends, tell me,
That's true, that's true.
you know what I mean, you gotta go, they don't tell me where I'm going. Remember those days
Yeah.
with
No,
all those
yeah.
pyramid schemes, right, that they made?
I've unwillingly sat in a couple presentations before, like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, right, they never tell you why you come, and then they all tell you about my friend got all those 10,000, and then the cops come and raid the place, or the other side is, they made that $10,000, and then they lost it, the following week. So-
You're absolutely right. I mean, I
So
first
I'm
heard
saying,
about Bitcoin.
those
in
people that
2000.
tell me that they made so much, it's just, my lights go on and say,
Yeah.
that there's something suspicious about that.
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff also told everybody that they would, do for 15, and
He was
Bernie,
exceeding the returns of the market.
the market for every year, and
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff was the head of the NASDAQ, and, and NY
Incredible.
Stern, so.
Yes, you're right. I mean, and people are correct to be skeptical about these
Right.
things, and like I say, many of them are really just rubbish. So.
Okay,
yeah.
so why should somebody
But as
rely
far
on
as,
you?
as far as the education
Right.
part, though, it just takes a little time because honestly, it's just steep learning
Uh-huh.
curve. I first heard about Bitcoin in, I want to say actually 2010 or something like
Okay.
that, and then I thought it was silly
Yeah.
first, and then a year later someone mentioned it again, and we read about that. And then 2013 was when I started really getting into it, and it wasn't until the past year that I've really become super engulfed in it, and yeah, it just takes time. It takes
So,
time.
I mean,
but I'll tell you, in South Africa, the TV show Shark Tank, they recently had an investment done entirely in Bitcoin, so that the startup raised money in Bitcoin. I mean, that kind of thing is starting to happen, and as
Yeah.
that happens, people are just gonna absorb it by osmosis.
Yeah, people are starting to accept more and more Bitcoin as services too. We just have another startup from down here that does facial recognition called Kairos.
Yeah, I know those folks.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian.
He just turned on that they accept Bitcoin as payment too.
Mhm.
So I mean, just last week they had 100,000 people get approved to trade. Altcoin or was it Coinbase? Yeah, Coinbase
Oh, yeah.
approved 100,000 people in one day. So I mean, there is a massive shift. People are trying to get into that space. Unfortunately, a lot of people won't educate themselves. People are going to lose money. It's the same thing as the stock market or any investment. And unfortunately, it's not necessarily our responsibility to educate. We're going to do our best to lay out as much as we can. But if you think of us as a trading platform, which is basically what we're creating, then it will be on the person
So
to.
who's gonna be who do you consider now your competitor?
There are so
There are a lot of trading platforms, but
I think as far as like listing ICOs that are available, there are a few, but they kind of the strategy they take is just like it's almost like a Wikipedia entry on an ICO, lists the number of tokens available, what they're doing and stuff. It's more reading for people, it's a link to the white paper and stuff.
So this idea of matching with investors, could you, of the services, so the whole idea has to be the token based, rather than just doing the matching engine with investors and entrepreneurs and just doing regular money on this would not be.
It's already built that way, the way you're describing.
Right.
We're shifting it to the token
Okay.
based thing. 2 reasons, and one of them
You mean
is pretty obvious.
it's ready created, meaning of yours or of competitors doing
No,
that?
this platform that we're
Right.
describing
Uh-huh.
is mostly built and has been in use for a few months.
Uh-huh.
It's growing. But we're shifting to tokens for 2 reasons. One is you can do a lot more with tokens, and the other reason is, of course, so we can do an ICO and raise.
And then you don't have to have investors that are qualified.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, it's not about the qualification process. It's actually you can just raise a lot more money up front, and you don't need to keep raising.
you would assume, like, let's say we go and we go to a venture capital firm in San Francisco and we pitch them and they give us a couple $1 million, right? We don't have any users from that. We then have to spend that money on marketing. By marketing an ICO and rewarding the marketing, paying for the marketing with future sale of coins, We're getting all that marketing at basically no cost. And then when people buy coins, inherently they're gonna wanna be active on the platform, so we're getting users as well. So we're killing two birds with one stone there, and it's less expensive for us.
Yeah, the other thing is, touching on what you just said, if someone's bought our tokens, that means they're a token buyer, right? So they might
Yeah,
be
they should be
might buy
watching and
tokens
paying
in
attention to
someone
invest it, right?
Okay, and I as a user don't have to worry about about security.
No.
And the reason?
You have your own
well,
wallet.
because you know, you won't put your tokens under our control. They'll be under your control. So
It'll be in your own, what they call wallet, yeah.
Yeah. So we're not going to be managing your money for you. We'll be enabling you to, you know, to buy into.
And your business model is then?
Is well, it's
Percentage
like
of-
4
percentage.
points really.
Okay, fee to create the pitch, fee to get featured on the platform, fee to buy tokens, and fee for additional.
Yeah.
And are you looking for
also-
people to help you?
Yeah, definitely.
To do what?
To do a lot of things. I mean, I'm not sure what the skills are of the people in the room, but I mean, a lot of things. We need programmers. We have some programmers, but we want more, especially from this area, because we're kind of a scattered group.
Right.
So it'd be awesome if anyone wants to get involved in that
Okay.
role.
And do you
I
have
can-
any way in which they can contact you, or? You
yeah,
have
well,
cards or
I'll
business?
give out my
cards?
card. I
Yeah.
don't have any cards, but I'll write down my number. to
Okay, if you
anyone
wanna
who
do that there, if they can
Yeah,
take
yeah,
a
I can do
picture,
that.
okay?
Yeah. Do you want me to explain you mentioned about the crowd sale contract or not?
No,
No?
we can
Okay.
go, but they can find out, but if you can put
Yeah.
your,
That's me, he's right.
Okay.
What else are you looking for besides programming?
Well, the marketing we're probably covered on. I'm not sure. Am I speaking? You guys are security, right?
no, well, they're basically technology, business technology and computer science.
Okay. Well, I mean, on the business development side, we'd be interested in talking to people as well. But I mean, really, those are the two main things: business development and programming. Like I said, we've got the marketing covered. Yeah. Anything else you can think of?
I mean, if you wanna be involved, then we can
Legal
figure it out.
stuff.
We're happy to get anyone involved that wants to be involved, even if it's a matter of just, getting the word out and getting rewarded with points that way. We are doing a pre-sale on the ICO at a huge discount, so, anywhere from 50 to 80% on the ICO, so.
Of the ICO of your
Yeah, our ICO in January. We have a few larger investors that are gonna be putting in some money that we're gonna use towards helping with some of the marketing costs and.
Of your, not
Yeah,
another pitcher.
of ours,
You're the pitcher.
Yeah, and, we're
You're gonna eat your own dog food.
we're gonna change the platform. He was just talking about changing it from web, to web-based, and changing a few things, so we have some, expenses that way. So we're gonna do a pre-sale of the tokens, and, I don't know, so there are a lot of ways people can get involved.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, just drop me an email. I'm Matt. Brandon.
I'm Brandon.
Yeah, if you email me, I'll put you in touch with him.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Did you, I have that sticker, did you do a hackathon at Facebook?
Oh, no, I just went to like a session.
Oh, okay, you went to a session here? Yeah. Yeah, I went to the campus for a hackathon, it was fun.
Nice.
Okay,
I'd love to speak to anyone who's interested.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
great to see you again.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Kind of interesting, I know, it's an interesting, proposition, nobody's come up with that, for many of those pitches, so it's interesting in terms of trying to do that.
Yeah, it's
I wish you guys luck.
Thanks.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Take care, thank you.
See you guys.
Bye. Okay. So, this is basically their idea with Shark Tank, their whole idea, it looks like, any comments?
What?
Any comments on it? What do you think?
Interesting. They need a website though. This is their whole website.
Which one?
This is the entirety of it.
Okay. I think they're really working on this, this ICOS kind of thing here. It's kind of interesting. We'll see what they do.
What were they, a startup or?
They're a startup. I thought, and I just thought they were a startup originally for matching investors with entrepreneurs. And they can be online, and along with the Shark Tank, just like the Shark Tank, that you could have others involved viewing it and they could invest as well. But what I see more, what they're interested in now, which I understand, was this, it was the cryptocurrency part of the contracts. And I think this part is kind of on the side. This part I thought was the interesting part, that you could really get a lot of people involved, where you had entrepreneurs, just like he said, in Shark Tank, he said, I'd invest in that as well. I thought that was you can really connect to people, and then you could even improve their pitches, and then you could see it. But I see now they're really not that interested in this part, but they're interested in all this ICO. Okay, so let me just go back to us then. Blackboard, let me just give you about what we're gonna be doing. So let me go to security. Aubrey?
In regards to the labs, you know, I said you wanted all the labs done. Can that, when is there like a?
All the labs done by the end of the semester. So I want all the labs done by the end of the semester. So let me just go to the web links here that you can see here in terms of the, I put a couple of things here on your web links. Comments on our last presentation by the CISO group. Any comments? Responses? So I put a couple of things here that I would like you to read for next time. One is the last two links, AI systems in security. So anybody, I would like you to read this article on System predicts 85% of cyber attacks using input from human experts. In MIT, they have now a virtual artificial intelligence analyst that they developed that will comb through data and detect suspicious activity using unsupervised machine learning. And what is unsupervised machine learning? Any clue? If I deal with machine learning, ML, I have training that I train the system, and I can, after I do training, I can do supervised, where you have a human supervising, or you have unsupervised, that it goes straight through the algorithm. And what I'd like you to do for the next time we meet, which is basically what, a week and a half, next week we're off on Monday, is read through this article on this AI predictive cybersecurity system, and what they're attempting to show there is training a big data machine to defend the system. And what they're trying to do at MIT is learn to detect cybersecurity attacks. They're now 85% accurate, and what they end up doing is giving the system attacks that are already well known and checking to see how well they are confirming. So it incorporates then feedback to what they call a supervised model. So the person then sitting there gives feedback, and then the system starts learning and changing its own algorithm. After it collects that feedback from the analyst, it updates that system and continues learning in that supervised position, and then it will results here. You can see in blue, in green is the unsupervised machine learning, where at the beginning it's very poor, but once it starts learning, it improves. So this is an area in which what they're trying to do is reduce, not get rid of the humans looking at reports, but having it work in conjunction with humans. So you can see this link that I'd like you to go through, and this one, machine learning in cybersecurity, of exploiting machine learning in cybersecurity. And some people are even thinking this machine learning, then somebody can hack into that. So you can see even in both ways, everybody's getting curious. And this one is just now the security cameras are still open. So many of these security cameras are now open to a number of hackers. So these are the parts in which I do. So let me just go back to the audit area. And under course documents here. So group 2. So you guys want to present then? Group 2?
It's the last one.
Okay, you want to come up or?
Big enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our lab was 4.16 network intrusion detection systems. Essentially what you needed for this one was, they wanted you to use Fedora 17, which is just a distribution of Linux, Snort 2.9.4, I think, which is really outdated. And then there were some other sources that you need to enable networking on your distribution, so Snort actually works. So what the disclaimer at the top is basically the source that you needed, the libccap. Red Hat doesn't support this anymore, so if you try to do the lab based on what the book gives you, you're probably not going to be able to get it done.
So what did you do instead?
So what I did is I have Kali Linux, so I just reflavored it, so I added some sources to it so that it would have the networking capabilities. Which I'll walk you through here, but it starts on like the 4th step, so if you want to talk about the first couple steps.
Yeah, I mean, basically I was running some problems with Snort, and so we had to do it on his system. So yeah, first you have to like open terminal stuff, get into the root, so you get higher privileges. So we use the su command, and then in the terminal we used ifconfig on both the computers, the defender and the attacker. Yeah, and then kind of he took over with the Kali Linux stuff. So yeah, and we had to record the IP address for both computers so that you kind of have both.
Yeah, so you needed both an attacking and a target computer for this. I just use I use a virtual machine, and then I have another laptop at home, so I just use those. So right here, I linked to the download to Kali Linux if you actually want to run this. So the only disclaimer for that is that when you download Kali Linux, it runs on like a rolling distribution. So every time that you run the virtual machine, it's like a fresh install. So you have to edit the source list. You just use LeafPad, Notepad, whatever text editor you want. And you can add these directly into that file, save it, and then you'll have the capability to run Snort. Right here, all these screenshots are just showing you like ifconfig, so you get your IP address. and the installation of the sources, and then all the code pretty much runs itself after you update everything. Make sure that you run the updates so the sources actually work. And then after that, you install Snort. This one worked a lot easier than the way that the book told you, because if you go onto the Snort website, it's a bunch of tar files, which are, difficult to deal with if you don't know what you're doing. So if you just run it this way, it will go directly there and download the most recent package, and it completely installs everything that you need for you. So this is just short and sweet. You have to say yes to a couple of things, but after that you have Snort installed. You run snort-v, which is -version, and then it'll show you that you have whatever version that you decided to install. This command here disables firewalls. You have to do that for this lab. If you do actually do this, make sure that you re-enable them afterwards, or you're gonna have some issues. So you just turn off the firewalls on the attacking and defending computers so that you can run Nmap without any issues outside of Snort. So then you start Snort. The command that you need is in the lab book. Just another disclaimer, when you set Snort, there are a lot of there are different rule sets that you have to get from the website, and you have to configure them, and that could literally take you hours, which the book doesn't tell you how to do, so I left it out as well. If you just download Snort the way that I showed, it will work on the base Wi-Fi configuration that you have on your laptop, which is all you need for the scope of this lab. So this here is just showing that you began to scan your IP address with Snort, and what Snort does is it just checks packets that are coming in and out of whatever port that you set it on. Then on the attacking machine, you initiate an Nmap attack, which is what the book designated for you to use. Nmap-A, which is a pretty basic scanning attack. So in here, this is the actual command, so it's just Nmap-A and then whatever IP address of the target. You run that, it scans, it'll tell you what port you're connected over. It defaults to the TCP IP port, which is port 80. And if you turn the firewalls off correctly, it shouldn't have any issues. And that's it.
Okay, so if you go back to the very top. So, you know what I would add just for your work then is what's the purpose of this? So just add, just for all of your labs, just you can even just press enter here, and what is the purpose? Because you get so involved in going step by step that the students lose what did I gain from this? So basically on all your labs, put the purpose, and then what did you learn from that lab? Because you can get so involved when you're looking back to it and you said, so what? So I got all these IP addresses, so what? So if you can go back to that and add those for all the labs, then it would help. Otherwise, it's excellent. Okay, so we got it. So who's next? Kyle, you're next?
I can go, yeah.
Okay. So in the top, when you say descriptor, put the names of who they are too.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I meant to do that.
Okay.
Okay. And so, Lab 3.1a is just using testing Windows access controls with command prompt. And then I guess it's just saying that Windows access controls is a feature of the OS that defines user ownership and permissions of resources such as files and folders. The purpose of this is just to use command prompt to in some information from a Windows 7 PC as a null user.
So are you using 7 or 10 here?
So in this particular example, it should work still with Windows 10 in addition to Windows 7.
you don't mind if I just use newer versions of things, right?
No,
Like,
the
okay.
opposite, to add to it,
Yeah,
yes.
it's better, yeah.
It's
So I think
better,
that
not to use, right.
Mhm. So from my understanding, this is exactly the same. So anyway, you
Right.
start out by typing in this command with the target IP address, and that right there starts a session for you as a null user, and then this just can give a hacker information about computer and resources.
So everybody see this out, this is, that at least he's saying what he's typing, what's the purpose and what's the goal. So this way, you can do this for all your labs.
Yeah.
It's good.
And then, so after that, once you've created the session as a null user, you're able to type in these different commands / domain to see a list of computers in the domain. If you do the MBT stat, what that does, I'll show you the net BIOS table, which
Okay.
will give you information about the work group the computer's in, the computer name on the network, which is, in this example, what Daniel makes or whatever. On your computer, it might be named your name. Mine at home, well, I think it by default went to like Kyle PC. I think I changed it to something else. But yeah, basically, and then this just shows, the BIOS table shows information about computers that communicate with and stuff. Now here's the next part is Lab 3.10b using Windows access controls on the Windows GUI, and I did this for Windows 10 even though it said for 7 because
Yeah.
it's, we don't want to, Windows 7 is obsolete. So yeah, so then this demonstrates setting file sharing, access permissions, ownerships, using File Explorer, and then this just teaches you how to limit and allow file access in Windows 10. And then I guess this is just more how to do it. So yeah, you just open File Explorer. And this is just step by step on kind of what the lab was telling me, which was essentially to create a test folder and then share it over a network and then access it over another computer. And so basically what you do is you create the folder and then you right click on it, go into properties, go to sharing, press share. And these are just screenshots will take you here. You can either choose the users or everyone can choose their permission level of read, write, or I think, no, I don't think you do everyone as an owner, but if you have specific users, you can do that. And then go back down here is just, this part. That is, in the drop down, choose.
These are the permissions.
It's just permissions. It's a little more detailed way of doing it than the other one showed. And then to connect to the drive you just shared is, yeah, you go to this PC or my computer or whatever it is on the version of Windows. I think this PC is what is on Windows 10. You go to press computer, map network drive, type in / IP address / the folder, and then and the way you find the IP address for the computer that you're sharing the thing originally is you go into command prompt and just type in ipconfig, so that's the IP that you use. Then this thing is irrelevant, the drive letter, really, as long as it's not one that's already used. You press finish, and then in this particular example that I did, it had me share it with everyone. So what you could do is press connect using different credentials. Literally anything you type in should work. And then just to change the level of access, maintain the bit sharing properties folder, and change the permission for everyone to read write to enable reading and writing. You could also add execute to allow execution rights. Press share again, and that should just do that. User access control of the domain, so this is to manage the user access of users within a domain. And then you go into computer management, and you can create new users that way. There's a way I think in Control Panel to do this as well. That might be a little more user friendly. And this just shows to create another test folder that I'm going to end up sharing. And then when let's see, yeah, go to properties, advanced sharing, and press permissions. Then in there, what you do is you go to the typable field in the bottom. I think by default it'll just have the name of the computer right there or something, and then you type / the user. You press check name, should make sure everything works, and then you press OK, and then, oh yeah, and then this is just showing in this lab that the user test 1 and the user test 2 will have different levels of permission, because on one of them I set to have read and write and delete, and then the other one's just read only. So I think that's self-explanatory from there. And then enable to do, okay, yeah, and then in order to do auditing over users I think what this does
In
is
order
just takes
to
a
do what?
log, just to make a log of the users, either attempted access and failures, or what they've either read, executed, or added to the folder or whatever. So you go into Property Security Advanced, see more detailed permissions, and navigate to the auditing, and then add a user. And then, yeah, it just logs your successfully attempted use of the permissions. And then 3.10d is just encrypting the Windows file system, so it's just encrypting a single folder and its contents. And yeah, it's just making it so you need encryption key to undo it. And then
You just show how to do it. Okay, go to the next slide.
Okay. Oh, and then this is just showing an example of once you're in command prompt, is showing, it will say in the folder test3, which is the one that I had to set up the encryption for, anything that I add to it, as it says right here, will be encrypted. Anything I add to the folder above that, is just the root of my C drive, will not be encrypted, because I didn't set it up for this. I just set it up for the test3 folder specifically. Okay, and then file access using TrueCrypt. So TrueCrypt is no longer a secure option for encryption. The workaround is using BitLocker, which is comes natively with the Windows OS.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, to do this, you go to the Start menu. You type BitLocker. Press Enter. And you go, and then to turn it on for your entire drive, you can select turn on BitLocker. Now in this example of my screenshot, I did it on a school computer, so they denied it, but it should just work
Okay.
at that point. And then to use BitLocker to create something called an encrypted virtual volume, which is like, I say it's like a password protected folder essentially, but it has like a level of encryption on it. You go type the disk management.msc into the Start menu, or you could just go to disk management and press action, and then create VHD. You choose the proper options. The VHD only supports volumes up to 2040 gigabytes. The other one will do up to 60 terabytes.
Mhm.
I don't know what that's huge. And then yeah, you can select fixed size or dynamically expanding. This is interesting. I know that there's a way to do this on Mac, which I've done, but I don't think it dynamically expands natively. But then you press browse, you name the VHD, and then press OK. And then what this does is it will create like a virtual disk, but then it's not initially formatted. So then you have to format it as you would like a new hard drive you got or something. You have to put like choose a file system. NTFS is the best for Windows. If you plan on transferring it to like a Mac or something, you should probably use like FAT32. And then, yeah. And then add it, yeah, you go to My Computer, right click remove volume. It will not show up if it's not already mounted, so you might have to go into disk management and mount it that way. And then you enter the password you like to, right click the volume. Oh, I don't think okay, yeah, no, you right click it. You right click on it, and I think you press enable BitLocker, and then at that point you enter the password you like to use, and then press OK. And then to lock it, it will be on this PC, and then you right click on it, and you just press eject, and that'll eject the drive. And then to reattach it, you got to go back into disk management, specify the location of the where you have the virtual disk located, and then once it's added and mounted, then what you can do is you can go back into this PC and double click on the whatever it is, and in this situation it says the local disk, whatever, it should have a key lock to show it has a password encrypting it, and then you enter your password, press unlock, and it should be, yeah, it's that simple. And yeah, that's it for this one.
Okay. Is there another? Who else need? Yeah, so go ahead.
There's the presenter.
Okay.
Alright, so this is network traffic analysis. Yeah, so the purpose of network traffic analysis, it's useful for security professionals, it helps troubleshoot problems, helps secure networks, but because it does all that, it's also useful for attackers. So 3.17a was about using Windump, which is a packet sniffing tool. Those are the basic commands.
Okay.
That's what Windump gives you. Packets captured, packets received by a filter, and packets dropped by the kernel. So this is basically just using Windump, navigating to where you downloaded it, and then running Windump, and right here is where I encountered an issue when I typed in Windump.
Okay.
And the issue is that failed to enable promiscuous mode because the university won't allow that. And then, so I defined promiscuous mode for people who don't know what it is.
Okay, good.
So actually, the workaround is 3.17b, which is Wireshark. And the reason it's the workaround because it allows your network interface to automatically be used in promiscuous mode. So this is downloading Wireshark,
Okay.
finishing, blah blah, and you can filter what you want to see. So that's like why I highlighted filter.
Good, and it's very nice font.
Thank you. And then this is choosing like the interface that you want to capture. So like when you select Wi-Fi, this is what you'll see.
Very nice.
And I filtered it, so I filtered it by TCP protocol.
I have a question. Dr. Reshnak, is there a
Yeah.
way you could make those packets like legible at all? Because like I've done this before and like that's all I get, and I don't think you can get very much from like what all those random numbers and things.
Where?
Like okay, so this is right there that packet you
That's
guys
sort.
selected up there. This is like the contents of it. That's not useful.
Well, there are tools that you can use.
Start to the left.
Yeah, sorry.
You can use hex editor. called
Yeah, there's
F5.
hex editors that you can use
And
that
that's
will
just
convert.
hex values. That's
Yes.
what all of those are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There is another
You know, it's interesting, we should be able, on Monday when we come back, we're gonna do a session on also forensics, and it'll be interesting. Well, for the tools to do the forensics, and then there's a number of hex editors that we'll bring out and show you. Yeah, because for right now, what does that mean to you? Right,
Can't read it.
right.
So yep, this is me using a filter, selecting a specific interface, and then so this is using my IP address.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was basically just trying to capture my username and password when I try to access Gmail. And so you can up there select string and then put in my username, and I didn't find it because there's so much
Just
traffic
the
going
hex
on.
values.
But yeah, that's it. Is that good?
Okay. And that's why it doesn't show up, right? Because it's all in hex values.
Yes.
Right.
And then there's editors. And then we'll do on Monday when you come back, we'll do an exercise in IT forensics. So it'll be interesting. So bring your laptop, so we'll do, exercise on that. Okay? Very good. Much better. Okay, so then later on, when you look at it, it'll make some sense rather than with the screenshots. And as I mentioned before, in all the lab, you'll get credit when something doesn't work, put what is a workaround, and put the reasons why it's not working. So let me just do this with my Yes,
For Monday when we come back, can my group present a lab that hasn't been done yet?
yes. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make an assignment,
Mhm.
and let's make it for, and I'll make assignments for others as well, and then we'll make it for, Wednesday.
Okay.
Because Monday, you know what I'm saying, I'd rather go through some labs on our own on Monday, and since we have the break, this way it gives you some time to work with your lab. So let me just see here till the end, we don't have that much, more time. On the labs themselves, we went up to then what, 17? So we basically then have 18, 19, 20, 21, and I'm gonna go to my, groups here. I have my 5 groups. So let's do, so we can say till the end here. So we ended in 71, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's do this. We'll give you then, for group 1, we'll do the, virtual private networks.
Okay.
And then group 2, guys, digital certificates, 319. And group 3, password circumvention. And group 4, then antivirus, and group 5, malware.
What number is antivirus?
What? What group are you?
2-1.
2-1?
Yeah, I'm 21. And let's set that for Wednesday. So that way, you know, people aren't gonna be set. And for presentations. And then on the readings, let me do the assignments here. Let me go back to the Blackboard. Let me make available then a chapter 8, which is cryptography, so let me make that available. Edit the test options. Make the link available. And I'll give you 2 times to do it when you submit. Just tell me that it's available for 8. And then, so when you come back, you wanna do 8, your labs will, for Monday, your labs will be then due for that presentation for that Wednesday. And we'll have, that'll be, the assignment from, chapter 8. Okay? So we're set. So we should have then, that, chapter 8, and then we'll finish up then also the soccer materials as well after we come back from, the break, and we have it scheduled on second exam on December 13th at the same time here. Okay? So I think you got the idea. I think it's much better, your presentations of showing what is the purpose, and then also there may even be, just put a section of your labs of issues, workarounds of those issues. Like you did also, Jesse, of what were the issues on how to get around it, of using it. Okay, any other ways in which we do it? So we had, presentations for each of the groups, and we'll set those. And then we'll do, a computer forensics, lab, session for, Monday. That we'll do a IT forensics lab session, okay? So I guess, we're off next week, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that you know, I don't have to tell you, right? That part I don't have to tell you. Okay, we're set then for chapter 8. Okay? So if you have any other questions, stay with me. Otherwise, have a safe week, right?
Thank you, have a good week.
Thank you.
And then, add to that, of what you, kind of like a summary of what you've learned. And also put your names on it, okay? One at a time. No, the next part of next year. What? The new. That way it's overwhelming, you know, right? So no, you want it comprehensive?
Yeah.
Either do I, okay? Thank you, Cindy. And then we'll do this after. And then, Jesse, maybe the following, not of next week, but the following week, what do you want, you wanna